Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the economics of pricing. We'll use these slides to figure out why you might pay a different price for a plane ticket than the person sitting right next to you.
So have you ever been at the movies and wondered why you're paying full price but a student gets a discount for the exact same film? Or, why airline tickets seem to change price every time you refresh the page? Well, it's not random. There's a whole economic strategy at play, and it explains why we don't all pay the same price for the same thing.
Okay, so before we get into all the clever pricing tricks, let's start with the basics. In a perfect world, a totally fair market, how would a single price get set for everybody? It really all boils down to a simple push and pull. You can see it in the numbers here. When prices are high, sellers are super happy. They want to sell a ton. But not many people want to buy. And when prices are low, well, everyone wants to buy. But the sellers aren't nearly as motivated. What's really cool is how these two forces, what people are willing to pay and what sellers are willing to offer, are always in this kind of dance, constantly searching for a balance. They're looking for that sweet spot where both sides can agree. And boom, this graph shows us exactly where that sweet spot is. That point in the middle where the two lines cross, that's called the equilibrium. It's this magical point where the number of things for sale perfectly matches the number of people who want to buy them. And that's what creates one single fair price for everyone. But that's the ideal world. What happens when one really powerful seller comes along and decides, you know what, I'm not playing by those rules? That's when things get interesting. That's when we meet the monopolist. See, in a normal competitive market, most sellers are what we call price takers. They basically have to accept whatever price the market sets. But a monopolist, they're different. They have so much control that they become a price maker. They get to set their own price.
And this is where they pull out their secret weapon, price discrimination. The product is identical, same movie, same plane seat, but the price changes depending on who's buying.
So how do they actually pull this off? It's not just a guessing game. As you can see here, there's a real playbook, a clear method to the madness of charging different prices.
Yeah, a brilliant economist named A.C. Pigou was one of the first people to really map this out. He figured out that there are basically 3 different degrees or levels to this whole strategy. And here they are. First degree is the ultimate dream for a seller. They figure out the absolute maximum every single person is willing to pay and charge them exactly that. Second degree is much simpler. Think bulk discounts. The more you buy, the cheaper each item gets. But the one we see all the time, that's third degree. Dividing customers into groups, students, adults, seniors, and giving each group its own price tag. But here's the thing. This strategy only works if the conditions are just right. A monopolist can't just start throwing different prices around without a solid plan. For this whole thing to work, a seller has to do 2 key things. First, they have to be able to separate their customers into those different groups. And second, and this is absolutely crucial, they have to prevent those groups from trading with each other. Stop a student from buying a cheap ticket and just reselling it to an adult for a small profit. But the real secret sauce is that each of these groups has to react differently to price changes.
And here's a fascinating little twist in our psychology. Sometimes we actually help them do it. It's called the Veblen effect. It's our weird tendency to assume that if something costs more, it must be better quality. That perception alone can give sellers the cover they need to charge a higher price for the exact same item.
So, when it all comes down to it, how does a monopolist decide on the exact prices to charge each group? Well, it all boils down to a single, powerful formula for maximizing profit. It really is all about the numbers.
Okay, don't let the letters scare you off. Think of this like balancing a scale. On one side, you have the extra money you make from selling just one more item. That's marginal revenue, or MR. On the other side, you have how much it costs to make that one extra item. That's the marginal cost, or MC. A monopolist makes the most profit when those two sides are perfectly balanced.
And this is what it looks like in action. It's pretty clever. First, over on the right, the company figures out its total production sweet spot, where the money coming in from one more sale equals the cost of making it. Then, they take that cost level and apply it back to their 2 different markets on the left, which lets them set the perfect profit-making price for each one. And right here, this is the key takeaway of this whole thing. The market on the left, the one with that steep demand curve, those customers aren't very sensitive to price changes, so the company charges them a higher price. But the market on the right, with the flatter curve, those folks are really price sensitive, so they get a lower price. It's that simple. The group that's less likely to walk away always pays more.
So what's the bottom line here? Price discrimination isn't just random luck.
It's a very calculated, very deliberate strategy to squeeze every last possible drop of profit out of a market. It's all about making sure no money is left on the table.
And now that you know the playbook, I promise you, you're going to start seeing this everywhere. Airline tickets, student discounts, early bird specials at restaurants. It's all the same strategy, just wearing a different disguise. So the next time you see two different prices for the exact same thing, you'll know what's really going on. The only question is, where are you going to spot it next?